All right, so that is a look at your full forecast. So at this moment, and for a while now, we've been keeping our eye on the conditions in Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa is barreling towards Jamaica. This is a look from the Sea Jamaica camera. That is the Kingston Harbor. You see a look there. It is windy. You see that camera shaking, the waves. Folks are bracing for a once in a generation type of storm, as have heard it described as. It is a massive storm. You're talking about a Category 5 that is nearing Jamaica, and will bring catastrophic winds, flooding, storm surge over the next several hours. So that's according to the National Hurricane Center. They're sending out that warning. It is set to hit the island again as a Category 5. That is the most powerful storm, that can be measured. Category 5 is the most powerful that can be measured. And so far, it's shaping up to be the most powerful storm of this year.
Yeah, Chris talked to us this morning when he was on, and he kind of had to make a point. We're seeing right now from the Sea Jamaica camera, the Kingston Harbor. You have to remember, this is the eastern side of the island.
Yeah.
Really, it's the western side of the island that's really gonna get it. So look at this, and this is not even scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, look, you think about the human aspect of it, and we talk to folks with local ties to Jamaica, but you got family, friends, communities, tourists over there in Jamaica.
With nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
The island's only so big.
Mm-hmm. And so it is. Folks are bracing, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And so we are getting updates from officials there in Jamaica. We got the latest update a couple hours ago. That's the latest update from Jamaica, from officials there. So let's take you there now in case you missed it. It's the latest that we got from Jamaica.
Again for another press briefing. I think this is number 8 in terms of our press briefings. As always, we believe that it is important that you get accurate information, and so we are here to give that information to you. And with me this morning, I have Minister Desmond McKenzie, who is our Deputy Chair of our National Disaster Risk Council. He's also our Minister of Local Government and Community Development. We also have Minister Darrell Vaz, our Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transportation, who is extremely important at this time. With us, we also have the person everybody wants to hear from, Mr. Evan Thompson, who is the head of our meteorological office here in Jamaica. Many people have said that they look forward to these briefings so they know what is happening, and I thank you all for tuning in. I thank the members in the diaspora for also tuning in and helping us to get the message to your families back home in Jamaica. So this morning we're going to have a quick briefing, and so I'm going to start with Evan Thompson. I need to acknowledge some others who are in the room. I want to acknowledge the head of ODPEM, Mr. Richard Thompson, who is here, and also the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, Marsha Henry Martin, and they've all been here overnight. I also want to acknowledge the members of the media who are here. They have been here consistently with us. We want to thank them. They're here sleeping on cots. That's how committed they are to getting the news and the information to you, and I'm very grateful to them and thank them. I know it's difficult being away from your families, but know that we are grateful to you. Another person that I need to thank are the caterers. There are a lot of people here in the emergency center, and they need to be fed. And I want to thank the mothers team that's working to provide food. They bring breakfast, lunch, and they try to bring dinner too. And everybody who is in the emergency center is fed. We cannot do this without them, so I just wanted to acknowledge them also. So let's get started with the man of the moment, Evan Thompson.
Thank you very much, Minister. And the lady of the moment is Hurricane Melissa. And we'll be hearing a lot about Hurricane Melissa today because there has been no significant change in terms of the magnitude of this system, the strength of its winds. Our satellite imagery will just give you a good picture picture of what is really happening out there over the waters and even over the land, because Hurricane Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, continues to barrel its way. Well, not barrel its way because it's still moving pretty slowly, but moving toward the southwestern coastline of Jamaica. We are starting to experience quite a few of the impacts of this system because we have been experiencing rainfall over much of the island, especially in the west and the south of the country. We've been having some periods of heavy rainfall, mostly moderate rainfall. There have also been gusts of wind and some sustained strong winds over sections of the island. The gusts, of course, going well into tropical storm force as we went through the night last night and as we have gone through this morning so far. We recognize that the system has not yet made landfall. The center is still some distance away from the coastline, just about 70 to 75 kilometers from the southwestern coastline, and it is still moving toward the northeast. So it is moving closer and closer to the coastline of Jamaica. I mentioned that it has been moving slowly, but it has been moving a little bit faster than it was previously because it's now moving at 11 kilometers per hour. That's just about 7 miles per hour. And it is expected to make that turn to be more in a direction, moving in a direction toward the northeast, which is a slight shift toward the east, more so than it is going at this time. So it will continue to move toward the island, making its entry on the southwestern coastline. We do expect, let me move this slide forward a little bit so you can see and get an idea of where we're expecting it to move. First, let me just point to those circles that you're seeing on the image, where the center is located. The inner, I refer to it as the inner core, which is that orange area that's surrounding it. And then you have the outer band, of the greens that extend across the country, which is what most of us have been experiencing thus far. But the inner core that we speak of is that orange area that we expect to be making some impact on the island, and that's where the stronger winds are concentrated. Also, the heavier rainfall is in that general area. We did say that the system is a Category 5 hurricane at this time, and when it makes landfall, it is expected to still be a Category 5 hurricane. That means it will cause catastrophic damage, life-threatening damage. There is very little that can stop a Category 5 hurricane. And regardless of the where you are in the parish of Westmoreland or St. Elizabeth, if you are under the impact of those Category 5 hurricane force winds, you will be having significant difficulty even with infrastructure that's in the area. So ensure that you are in the strongest area that you can. The recommendation from the Hurricane Center is that you would have as many walls between yourself and the outside as you can, because it is important to reinforce yourself and to ensure that you are not left vulnerable to this system. We do expect that it will gradually be reduced in strength as it moves over the island. It will fall to a Category 4 maybe, and then Category 3 as it exits the country possibly. But in the meantime, when it makes landfall, which is expected, as you can see in this image here, to be somewhere near parity in western St. Elizabeth, that's somewhat to the east of Black River. So it will most likely make landfall in the western part of St. Elizabeth rather than in the eastern part of Westmoreland. And then it will continue moving toward the northeast. That is the direction of movement that is expected. It will continue over the northern part of St. Elizabeth and then move into southern Trelawney. And the exit is expected to be somewhere in Trelawney rather than in St. Anne. It would be most likely in the eastern end of Trelawney rather than St. Anne, where it makes its exit from the island of Jamaica. Here we see the area, this area of orange shows the outer bands of this system, where we are expecting to be experiencing impacts. Heavy rainfall right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Also strong winds across the island. the amounts of rainfall that we expect. We see here again, we indicated that we would have between 20 and 30 inches, or 500 to 750 millimeters of rainfall affecting sections of the island. The area that is expected to be impacted mostly has been narrowed a little bit on the map. So you'll see that Jamaica's central parishes are most at risk and extending into the west of the island as well. And then some slightly lower figures are expected for the rest of the island, but still significant rainfall. 12 to 16 inches, 300 to 400 millimeters is nothing to scoff at. It's still a lot of rainfall, still expected to produce significant flooding. You might be saying that this system doesn't seem to be packing much of a punch because what you've been experiencing outside doesn't seem to be worthy of all the hurrah that we're creating about the system. But the truth is, it is still some distance away from the coast, expected to move closer and then move across the island, and that means that the impacts are going to be significantly greater than you've already been experiencing. Flooding is expected, landslides are expected, storm surge is expected, and of course those strong winds we will not be able to escape, especially if you're in the path of this system and in the path close to the eye of the system. The rest of the island, I mentioned the Category 5 hurricane force winds that will be experienced over parts of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland going into Trelawney, but we are expecting tropical storm force winds over the rest of the country, and so we all should be experiencing or looking out for the experience of tropical storm winds right across the island. Here we see on our picture some of the areas that are expected to be mostly inundated from storm surge that is also expected to come onshore, and this would be in those bays and inlets. In the area of Black River, we expect significant storm surge, although the center is now expected to be somewhat of Black River, so this might have to be updated slightly, but Black River will also experience storm surge. Storm surge could get as high as 13 feet. That's high. 13 feet is a couple of stories high. And so you need to be very much prepared for that kind of activity if you're in any of those bays or inlets along the coast of St. Elizabeth in particular, and even going into Clarendon. So those traditional areas of storm surge impact, like Portland Cottage, Rocky Point, those are areas that, because of the geography, we are expecting still to experience some amount of storm surge in those areas, although probably not as significant as we would have in St. Elizabeth along the coast. So anywhere, even along the coast of Manchester, parts of Alligator Pond and, Treasure Beach area should also be looking out for that kind of activity, and going eastward as far as parts of St. Catherine. And that is basically the presentation at this time. I'm sure you'll have some questions that will bring out some more information later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evan. You heard it. It is strengthening and it is coming to Jamaica. I know we've been praying for it not to hit, but it is going to hit us. So we have to heed everything that Evan has just said. I'm going to ask if there are any questions for Evan before we go on to the others. Any member of the media? Okay, please go ahead. Do we have a mic, or you're just going to speak very loudly and I'll repeat it?
Sure. Good morning.
I think the mic is coming.
Thank you. Good morning. Okay. Mike.
You can just speak and I'll repeat the question.
So, good morning, Father Whelan, Jamaican Mission Service. Has the window now officially closed for Jamaicans to make preparations, especially on the western side of the country, considering the distance of the system from the coast?
Okay, so the question was, has the window now closed for those who need to make preparations, especially on the western side of the island?
We're very close. Thanks for the question, JIS. We are very close to the closing of that window. I mean, I would not actually say it's entirely closed, because there are a couple things that you might be able to do right outside your doors that could reinforce your structures. If that is a possibility, when we have some level of calm, I have been hearing from persons in St. Elizabeth, in Manchester, who have indicated that they are getting quite some heavy rainfall and some strong winds, but there are usually some lulls, some periods of semi-calm, that they can probably do something quickly on the outside and get back inside. So we would like to ask everyone to ensure that you keep yourself safe. Exercise extreme caution if you have to do anything immediately outside. But of course, as the system moves any closer, we will start to experience the eye wall of the system moving onshore, and then the eye will make its impact. And we do expect that that will occur by midday today. So during the latter part of this morning, after 11 o'clock, I would say let's not take any chances on the outside. Let's make sure that we are on the inside, so as this system makes its way here, we're not destroyed ourselves. Apart from the structures outside, we have to make sure that we save our own lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evan. We're going to now move to Minister Darrell Vaz, who is our Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transportation.
Morning, Jamaica. Prayers up. Let's start with JPS, which I know is on everybody's mind. The electricity grid has already been impacted by hurricane conditions, which have caused several power outages across the island. Several generation units, critical high voltage substations, transmission and distribution lines across the island have been forced out of service by the hurricane force winds and lightning. As a result, approximately 240,000 or 35% of JPS customers are without power. That's out of a possible 700,000. Mainly in the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, St. James, and Hanover. The status generation, there is adequate firm generation online to serve our customers. No renewables are available. As I said before, customers impacted, more than 75% of the customers in St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Hanover, and St. James are affected without electricity. The least impacted parishes, with less than 10% of customers impacted, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew, and St. Catherine. The majority of hospitals continue to be supplied with JPS power, except those in Manchester and St. Elizabeth, such as Black River, Mandeville, and Percy Junior Hospital. But I can confirm that they are operating on standby power, generator power. There is no plan at this point to shut down the grid. JPS crews continue to respond and restore critical facilities and customers where it is safe to do so. In the meantime, JPS is reminding customers to stay safe and take precautions to protect life and property. And most importantly, stay tuned to official channels of information, which include government and JPS, for further updates. As it relates to our telcos, I'll start with Digicel. 26% of mobile network is offline, predominantly due to the widespread loss of power. There's a further 209 sites running on generators and 9 on batteries. For fiber to home customers, we are seeing 20% customers offline due to no power in their homes. As we see the most impacted areas, we will work with our crews to focus on those areas first. Even if commercial power is still to be restored, we will keep generators fueled and gas the sites back to keep them up and running. They are also confirming that also in aid in recovery, we are working with the SMA to increase our spectrum bandwidth channels, as we know from our experience from Hurricane Beryl that the mobile
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We are approaching the top of the hour, almost 1 o'clock, and that is an update from officials there in Jamaica. As you can see there on your right, Hurricane Melissa is just right there, headed, or essentially like right there on Jamaica, essentially. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're getting updates in real time. As soon as we get more updates, we'll continue to obviously provide those here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.